Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today, I will be starting a new season and talking about Season 2, Episode 1, Wet Saturday. This episode was directed by Alfred Hitchcock himself and stars Cedric Hardwick as Mr. Princey and John Williams as Captain Smollett. And this was kind of an interesting choice to start off Season 2. This episode features two excellent lead actors and one of the all-time legendary directors in Alfred Hitchcock. But I have to say this episode comes across as just kind of there and just kind of average. And I think the reason for this is because I think the episode is supposed to be taken as kind of a comedy or a satire, and only parts of this episode work for me. And it's kind of up and down and all over the place. And there are reasons for that, which I will talk about. So this episode starts with a young girl, Millicent, and she's upset. It turns out that she has killed this schoolmaster who she was in love with, and it turns out the schoolmaster was going to marry another woman, and that's why she did this. But I have to say, this Millicent character, the way it is written and acted, is just too annoying and over the top for me. Others may find it to their satisfaction, but I really didn't care for this character at all, and it does hurt the episode somewhat. In my opinion. So her father, Mr. Princey, wants to cover this up. We get some information on what happened and how it happened. It's pretty standard stuff. She basically hit him with a mallet, I think it is, and did in the schoolmaster. We are then introduced to another lead character, Captain Smollett. It turns out that he also had a relationship with this other woman that the schoolmaster was going to marry. So this gives him a motive later on in the episode for some of the other things that are going to happen based on Mr. Princey's plan. So at this point, Mr. Princey and his son George, they move the body. Princey himself wipes off the murder weapon, things like that. Then Princey and his son George take the captain aside. They explain the situation. They surprisingly tell him what happened, but then they threaten him basically and tell Smollett that he'll be an accessory if he tells anybody what's going on. They basically want Smollett to take the blame. He doesn't want to, but he doesn't really have much choice at this point. Since Princey's basically holding a gun on him, makes things kind of tough for Smollett. So Princey, as his son George, hit Smollett a few times, make it look like there was a struggle. Then he basically has Smollett throw the body in the sewer, I guess, so his fingerprints will be on the body. Kind of an interesting plan, but probably not the best plan ever. As is usual in Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and we'll find out how that turns out at the end of the episode. So at this point, Princey seems pretty happy about the work he's done so far. Smollett leaves. Then we get this scene where Princey talks to his whole family to make sure they're all on the same page. They all have the same cover story. And I do have to say that some of Mr. Princey's dialogue in this scene I did think was genuinely amusing. And in general, I thought this character worked pretty well. Unfortunately, the character of Millicent, which does not work well in my opinion, is back. And she's still freaking out. She's having outbursts every few seconds. Why, I'm not really sure. Once again, overdone in my opinion and just really annoying. And after all this family chat is over, Princey has this idea that he's going to call the authorities and inform them that he found the body, but he has it all set up for Smollett to take the blame. Basically, though, then the episode just kind of ends like that, very abruptly. So basically, after this abrupt ending, Alfred Hitchcock explains to us what happens from there. That basically Smollett just would not go along with things. Millicent freaked out again, and she killed her father, Mr. Princey, in the same way that she did the schoolmaster. So things don't end too well for the Princey family. And I realize that the show has done this before, these kind of endings where Alfred Hitchcock gives us the end. But in this case, it didn't totally work for me. It does kind of fit the comic tone of the episode. And Alfred Hitchcock presents it okay, but I would have preferred the ending to be handled in a different way. Overall, though, I do think there is some enjoyment in Wet Saturday for fans of the show, and it comes across as an average episode to me, and I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Definitely an interesting choice to start out Season 2. There were some aspects of the episode I liked, some I didn't, but just average overall. So a 2.5 out of 5 for Wet Saturday, and as always, thank you very much for watching.